So good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the WoT Pro League Season 3 Relegations. We've had a fantastic season. We've gone all the way through it now. We know who's going to be joining us in the offline finals, not too far away. But then comes the matter of who will be joining us next season. Now, we've had a certain number of teams secure their position via other routes through A-Series, Go4, and other kind of things like that. But mostly today is about who's going to fight for their place to stay in it, or will they be exchanged out for a team fighting even harder. Now, obviously, I'm joined by my incredible co-podcaster, Laughter WoT. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. Just excited to get into these games. We've had quite a long break between Season 3 and the relegation, so it's going to be good to get into it again.
I've kind of missed casting one of the tanks. So guys out there, if you've missed us, make sure you tweet this out, because it may seem a little bit disjointed because we've had the whole season, we've had the playoffs, and now we're down to the relegation. So make sure you get tweeting this link out there and sharing it on Facebook and all that good stuff. But the social media aspect aside for now, let's look towards those rankings to find out kind of the overall picture of how the season looked to this point. Now, obviously, that top 6 is secured. They'll be going through to the offline finals. But outside of that, there's new teams coming in who secured their position elsewhere. Yeah,
so we've got 3 main teams. It usually is 2, but it's 3 because of one SPP, Lanska Vintage, got disqualified for too many penalty points. So those 3 teams are WoT, coming in first in A-Series. Congratulations to them for coming second in WTG and coming first in A-Series.
That's a pretty impressive little run there.
Yeah, they gave Ukraine, or Team Dignitas, a run for their money, 3-2 result for them. So yeah, that's our first team. Second team is going to be Freefall, the Finnish team. Brother, sister team, depends what you like to call it, of Spale, all from the same clan, Arsop. And then it's just going to be an interesting game. Then we got WSD Gaming coming from Go4 WoT, so they came first there. So those 3 teams, 100% secure in Season 4. And then we got 3 teams fighting for their place.
Yeah, and that brings us on to the point of today's games. Now, the whole idea of this is, can those 3 teams who didn't really perform too well through the season retain their spots for Season 4? Now, they're probably familiar faces to you guys by now, Spale, Mortis, and Team WD, but their performance was really up and down. And take us through their opponents as well, because I think you know these guys fairly well to this point.
Yeah, I mean, eSuba and Lucky Cracky, the two guest newcomers, you could call them, and they're actually in the Season 1 of the WoT Pro League, WGL EU. Lucky Cracky came 11th, so they got automatically pushed out of the league. And eSuba came 9th, and they ended up losing their relegation map, so they got pushed out as well. So it's going to be quite a tight match. We got Spale versus eSuba. eSuba coming 3rd in the A-Series, so that's why they're fighting for their place. And Lucky Cracky coming 4th in the A-Series, that's why they're fighting here. And last but not least is obviously Kazan Spain. We won't be watching them today, but they did do well in Go4. That's why they're here fighting against Mortis.
And it's just insane to see the likes of Spale and Mortis just fighting for a place within the next season. As they were really doing so well at the start. Hell, Mortis were up at the very top position at the start of the season. That's how insane this whole kind of thing has been. And make sure you head over to the WOTProLeague.com site to check it out. Obviously, there's been a couple of new additions as well to that site. We've actually added in the stats as well for maps and tanks, so you can see kind of why the picks have been coming through the way they have been. And I think you pointed out to me earlier, that 5100 pick, there's certainly some method to the madness of picking that one. Definitely check that out via that site. But still, this website aside, there's about 2 others that generally gets the attention of a lovely lady waiting in the wings. Now, you guys at home have been keeping her busy with your Christmas spirit, and there's certainly not been any Grinches out there. There's been a lot of giving going on, hasn't there? There's a lot of ornaments kind of being created, and you've been keeping her rather busy. We've just about, got her ready to be able to handle this show. It's taken a lot of Red Bull, a lot of pep talking, but she's here now. And Melly, how are you doing over there?
Crawl through the pile of messages and make it here. Well, at first, thank you very much for your awesome response to our great challenge. We received so many submissions. It's just insane. We would have never imagined such a response to that challenge. We already worked through, let me say, roughly 3.5K messages, and we have still close to 3,000 left.
They are keeping you busy. There's no Christmas for Melly. It's all Facebook.
Exactly. That's what I've done the whole last week. So I was just sitting there answering your messages, and please, I promise you, don't worry. If you haven't got an answer yet, I will answer you. There is no reason I'm not going to see your message in our inbox, which is completely overloaded, by the way. But your message is in there. We're working through it. I'm not alone on the team. Christina Martel is helping me. Luckily,
we had
I would
to
have
rope
never.
in other people.
Exactly,
there was that many.
we had to kind of extend my little department, my little Facebook department, because I would have never managed to work through alone. So just insane. You will get your answer. You will get your bonus code as promised. It will just take a little bit of time, since I'm just human. I might have some great powers, but I'm working nonstop on messages, so don't worry there. And of course, we still want you to get involved in our show, and I still have some capacities left, so I can handle that messages as well. So just head over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/WoT Pro League, where I will put up votes in front of every matchup where you have to vote for your favorite team just to see the tendency of the community. And of course, our match prediction game, where you have to predict the exact scoreline of that matchup and get the chance to win one of 3 bonus codes. I still have some left, so I just put them aside. Please don't touch them, they're for the show. And yeah, my great bonus code pile is shrinking, sadly, but my minions are working on them. They're always creating new ones and new ones and new ones. I won't run out of bonus codes, don't you worry. And of course, tweet us, follow us on Twitter as well, and follow our Twitch channel to get notified as soon as we're going live. That's very important. You will get an email, you'll get a pop-up on Twitch TV, so you'll never miss any minute of our lovely show ever again. And yeah. Thank you very much for your great participation. If you have anything on your mind, just tweet us by the use of #WGLEU, and yeah, I will be rewarding 3 tweets of the day. So there is another way of winning bonus codes. Bonus codes everywhere.
Melly has the Christmas spirit, as always saying. She's like Santa Claus with bonus codes. So give her a reason to give them out. Make sure you've been a good person. You know, don't get some coal or anything like that. You've got to be nice. You know, that's how it works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I know Christmas. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I usually get coal in my stocking, but bonus codes I would much prefer.
Yes, so you know exactly how to get involved. And let's give you an idea of who you'll be voting on, because I think they're just about getting ready for those tank picks, so we can kind of drop you into that screen momentarily. And we'll take you through the lineups, because obviously eSuba might be new to your eyes. Now, to me, I know that, you know, that clan, that esports kind of, I don't even know what to call them, team from a long time ago. They're incredibly prestigious team, which I love seeing coming into World of Tanks, and they're obviously not new to this, as you mentioned. And even to me, it's nice to see these guys coming back with such a big tag next to them. So hopefully we'll be seeing a great game here. But why don't you take me through their lineup a little bit and kind of explain to me if there's anyone we should be watching out for here? So
you might know Spale by now after 3 seasons in the WoT Pro League. We've got the team captain, Eurofficial. He's playing a big tank. He's never really a guy who plays a tier 1, which is usually what you see the team captain playing. We've got superstars like BND. He joined in season 2. We got Fantis as well. I think he actually joined this season. And we got
he did do really well though, in even his first couple of games.
He's been doing really sick. And then we got the old schoolers like Theory and Agaha, Muppety, Mokilumi even. So yeah, we got a few known faces in Spale. You might not have seen eSuba if you didn't watch season 1, but they've got a few good players. They got Mirage, he's absolutely fantastic. Voodoo's the team captain. Twixo, Marcus, heavy tank player. I would like to really see how they've changed their team composition. Have they like switched any of the light tank players to heavy tank players and just make that team a little bit better in many respects? So tank picking has begun. We got double T1 from Spale, double T1 from eSuba. This is Ensk, so your kind of city map. Although teams have started to head over towards that green side a little bit. Yeah, that has been brought into play. And obviously, looking over the NA side, hell, they run with 1390s, 416s in the mix. And the 416 isn't the scary part, it's that 1390. Didn't go too well for the team we were watching earlier. Obviously, we did check that one out. But I like the heavy tank presence. I like the T32s. Do you think there's going to be any surprises? Maybe a 110 in the mix? Or is this going to be our kind of regular kind of thing we're seeing here? Yeah, we've been talking about the 110 a little bit outside of the show, and we're just wondering, you know, why the Americans like to pick it, the North Americans, that is. And they really said it's just down to that ability to hit tanks. You know, the IS-3 a little bit more inaccurate, aim down time a little bit slower. So with the 110, you can just make those snapshots. You can hit the tanks, you can hit the targets, you can get the damage down. Although probably a less effective tank apart from the front. Yeah, and to quote Nagatron, we did actually ask him about this. It was the case for the 110 over the IS-3 is pretty easy for them. Better armor, better vision, more accurate gun, higher DPM, but the scary alpha damage of that IS-3 always counterbalances it. So as you said, it's that comfort, if you know which one you're more comfortable in. So it's nice to kind of have the understanding there. Indeed, but jumping into tank picks again, with double 5100 from Spale, IS3 5100 from eSuba, IS3 T32 from Spale, double 5100 second to last pick from eSuba. Last pick from Spale will be a T32, a little bit of an interesting one. We've seen most teams pick just the 5100 in the IS3, but Spale have changed things up a little bit here with a double T32 lineup and no 110s, surprisingly enough. But you did mention about the armor of the 110. Personally, playing it, I can see how that makes sense from the front. But if you play the IS3, its main advantage is that side armor. It can bounce a lot. So if you play it with the mouse trick, or now known as side scraping, the IS3's armor can actually be more effective than the 110s. It just depends what kind of
play style, really.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, the last pick from Spale was the T32, making their lineup double T32, double 5100 IS3. And now we're just waiting for eSuba to pick their last tank. Obviously, this is their chance to really shake things up. If they want to do anything sneaky, then you've got to do it in the last pick, so you don't give the game away too much. But they're going to be picking a T69, that tier 8 American medium tank, sporting the T178 gun. So kind of an interesting pick because, obviously, since 8.6, the penetration was minus 50, so went 300 to 250. So going to be a little bit of a struggle for them to penetrate the T32s and the IS3s, certainly. So we'll have to see how that one works out. Hasn't worked out this season so far. We've seen the likes of WoT pick it. Just doesn't get that damage down. It
doesn't, and it shows in the stats that are featured on the WoT Pro League. You can see it in the bottom right corner. If you have a little look through that side, you can actually see the breakdown that, you know, to the damage it gives, to the damage it receives, it's actually negative. So it's a really kind of weird choice to me. Maybe these guys have a trick up their sleeve. They've got, you know, a position that works for them. It, you know, is really fits with their composition. It might happen. But the biggest thing to me now is let's see who's stayed active over that little bit of a downtime. Obviously, when you're playing, you know, twice a week, you're active, you're constantly playing, your skill is at the highest it can get. You're practicing in between that as well. But during the times when, okay, there's not a regular game coming up, we're, you know, maybe taking a break, this is when you see the teams who've got that natural talent shining through, or the people who've been working hard, because sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you need to slow down, have a little recap, and kind of find out where you're actually at in the game. But to me, it's the teams who kind of, you know, keep going, keep working through it. You see it in every title, CSGO. Some teams prefer to stay completely active, even down that downtime. And, you know, League of Legends, especially. Some teams really struggle after the off-season and have to build back into it. Now, I'm kind of curious to see how Spale did here, because they're a team that really did struggle during that late half, well, mid to late half of the season just prior. So hopefully they can actually build themselves up here. Maybe they've been working on it. Maybe they've been going through their VODs, their demos. We're going to find out right now. So guys, let's get you ready for Ensk.
Ensk is a simple map on the face of it, but requires the most skillful team play to play properly. Being such a small map at 600 by 600 meters, the areas of attack are confined to through the city, through the railroads, or through the green zone. The fearsome city side, often famed for its fierce firefights, the railroads and green zone areas are hard to play as they have many death alleys. The railroads provide little cover but good sniping locations. Tanks can shoot over and navigate through the trains to ambush and weaken the opposition. When playing Ensk, always keep in mind that teams may try and rush for the cap and not go for the city brawl. Also, take tanks that can both deal a lot of damage and react quickly to situations.
So welcome into the first map. As Joe kindly told us, it will be Ensk, and in the south, in that gold and yellow, it will be eSuba, one of the newer teams to this, but certainly not a newer team to the overall style here, facing off against the rather northern side of Spale. So let's find out what they're up to so far.
So with Spale, with that, remember they got that double T32 lineup. They are actually going over towards that left side, the green zone, as people fondly call it. That's Theory, Eurofish, and Aggo all heading over there. Muppety sitting in the middle with the T32, and BND and Mokilumi heading off into the city. And for eSuba, we've got a few tanks up into the middle, and they're pretty much just sitting around that green zone as well. So kind of a little bit of a split for them. They're just trying a few things out. They're obviously a newer team. We haven't seen them for at least 2 seasons. So whatever they do could be completely new, and they could revolutionize how the teams play Ensk. But at least for Spale, Eurofish heading up in that 5100. He's got Fantas to the left, trying to get the spots out in the higher, in the kind of overall position. And remember, that T1 only has about 320 odd meters of view range, so much less than the 425 cap, say like a 5100 or an AMX 1390 will have. Muppety trying to snipe out into the middle. He's playing the T32, which in my opinion would be better served with an IS3, although you can see the side of the T32 has really big tracks, so it can also absorb some damage.
Yeah, indeed. And from the eSuba side, they're trying to be fairly cautious so far. They did go over to that green zone early on, but to no real avail. They only got a bit of damage received, to be fair. Twixo got taken down quite low. And to be, at this advantage early on, that's a good start for Spale. Normally, they're the kind of more team that do struggle to get that advantage, and now that's been kind of handed to them on a plate, which is absolutely perfect. You can hear those blind shots rattling through. That's coming from that IS3 tucked in by the blue flag there. That's Agaher just letting them fly. Not connecting yet. They're kind of avoiding that straight line problem from that 5 and 6 line. Lokos and Twixo, they're trying to be a little bit more cautious about this one. They don't want to give it away too early on here. And well, it's all about that cautious start. They are preferring that green zone, which is slightly interesting to me. I'm not too sure, why these teams go for it, but maybe they can pull something out. And I do want to point out that early aggression from that T69 down that railroad. They have got a good eye of Eurofish there. They know exactly where this man is, but how can they execute from this point? And the same really for Spale.
Well, for eSuba at least, they are playing for a spot in Season 4, so this absolutely means everything. I think their execution has to be right on. And honestly, I think the best thing they could do is just get out of that green zone, push up around into the city and come from a different direction. Just probe. You've still got 7 minutes and 20 seconds left to do it. You've got plenty of options to fiddle around with. For Spale, they've got the pressure of wanting to stay in the league, in the WGL EU in Season 4, so they don't want to be messing about. They don't want to be losing any maps out, and that's why the games are going to be slightly slower. Eurofish starting off the frags with a good kill onto Marcus, 47, and now you can see the push from eSuba coming in. Eurofish expending 1 shell, so he's down to 5 shots. Twixo's already taken a shot. He's down to 720, takes another one. And I'm not sure if eSuba's plan is going to work out because Spale seem to be ready and waiting.
Yeah, Spale playing passively, but Eurofish taking a bit of a pounding early on. Mirage and Twixo landing shells back to back there, but he has escaped. He's readjusted, and now Agaher will sit in their way. It's not going to be the easiest of tasks to get involved in. Well, Loskos is now feeling that pressure. He's going to have to back away, find cover. Agaher did receive some damage, but now Voodoo has to come up big in that T69. He's the only one really with that vision across that 6 line. All the others are flanked around that northeast side, but will they expect that tank laying in wait towards the back? They've taken down Fantis, the eyes and ears for Spale, but there's still 1 tank in that green zone for Spale.
And it's going to be a push actually from Spale going up into the, at least towards the cap, and they're trying to head on to Vostep and the T69, so and that's going to be played by Vuzu, so the team captain. So if Spale can pull this one off and put the extra dimension of pressure in terms of capping and taking down 1 tank, because it would be 2 versus 1, then this could certainly be the first win for them. But at the moment, I would say the HP is kind of all even. Eurofish has taken a couple of shots, Aga has taken 1, BND has taken 1, and the same goes for eSuba. Everything is all even. This is all about skill. This is all about tactics from here on out. It's a bit of a risky strategy. It doesn't look like eSuba is ready and waiting. And will Spale be able to execute this properly? Because that's been their problem this season.
It really has. It's that final push that he seemed to struggle with. Eurofish has got himself out on a limb. Muppety is there, but here comes the damage. Tier 1 has fallen for eSuba, but Muppety and Eurofish finding very little else. The damage well spread. Agaher receiving another couple of shells. He's not being left out of the action, even though he's playing more passively than the rest. Voodoo keeping ground. He's still not gone down, even in that T69. Loskos has received another shell. They're trying to retract back. That real kind of glimpse of Muppety has kind of shaken them a touch, and now they're all going to making their way back down towards their own flag, towards their starting point, and maybe do some damage. Eurofish rotating through the city, receives a big shell, 398 damage. Done towards him, but Voodoo's going in. He's going to be charging forward in that T69. He's got a couple more shells to expend. Can he get the damage done towards the work going down? But the team can't cross freely. BND's holding that, but there's Mirage. Lovely shot onto Muppety. That's a backup Voodoo desperately needed. And he's still got enough shells left to do some more work. Moki is pretty much an easy kill there. He's in that T1. But you need BND, you need Agaher, you need the big boys to come back down. And let's bear in mind, eSuba are fairly low.
Los Coscos takes a big shot, 152, does reply with another one of his own, but here comes Thierry around the corner.
Yeah, Thierry needs to be the key player right now. Twixo is just challenging him straight out. He's going to be punished for that. Los Cos is now going to follow suit, and now really it's a bit of an uphill struggle. WoT has to pick up the mantle where his team left off. Aga coming round, looking cautiously through, doesn't land the shell he wanted. That will give a little bit of breathing room possibly for eSuba, and they can try and turn this one around. Mirage finding Eurofish is a perfect start. It's a 3v3. The game is now certainly afoot, but who has the advantage?
I would say it's pretty even at the moment. I say eSuba even have the better position, but that miss onto Thierry for WoT was a critical miss indeed. And the question is, well, how many shots does eSuba have in that 5100? I believe Mirage has only just started reloading, and they are going to come around. Voodoo's avoiding that one superbly. He's got to sit back and let the rest of his team do the damage.
Yeah, he certainly does. He's on reload now for a couple more seconds. He's about halfway through, so he's got a long wait before he can get back in the action. Nice work on the cross there, covering off WoT, and I believe it's Mirage, but the rest of Spale, they're happy to kind of get into that cap-in circle, put the pressure on. WoT has a lot of HP left. They're waiting on that T69 reload, which is just available now, so they can start thinking about how can we reply here? How can we stop this cap? They know there's 3 tanks. They can only see 2. They need to find out where Thierry is and get that damage done. Agaha and B&D staring down WoT now, keeping eyes very close to this, and we're seeing a big split from Voodoo. He's going all the way around the back, up to that E section, so you might be looking for a little bit of a pixel peek down towards B&D and Hagaha. This could pay off pretty well, but bearing in mind there's 1 minute and 3 seconds left on that clock, they're going to have to make a move soon.
They're going to have to, certainly, because 27 seconds left, and WoT was in a perfect position, but B&D, he instinctively knew where Voodoo's was. He got out of there, Voodoo's got spotted. I'm surprised he didn't actually manage to get a kill there. So a good move by Spale, and if WoT heads around, he's going to have Thierry and Aga to deal with, but he's going to have to do it at some point because only 10 seconds left.
Indeed, 10 seconds left. There's the kind of recap and kind of the reset they were desperately looking for. WoT does the damage and retracts away. The T69 still continuing fire, and we're going to wait to see who's going to make the move. 28 seconds. It's so close, so tentative. Mirage is so low, 26 HP left towards him, and B&D and Aga are just trying to play this one smart, but they're really roped into this. 19 seconds. Keep your eyes on that clock. We are seeing the reload coming in for that T69. He's got himself in an interesting position right down those railroad tracks. Hopefully going to be able to make his move if necessary. 10 seconds remain. This is what it's going to come down to if they can't reset it once again. WoT has the highest HP. Can they get involved right now? 3 seconds left. They're going to have to do something at this very second. Have they let go too far? No!
Oh.
Right at the last second. Or have they just about done that? Thierry's the last man standing. Can he save this one for Spale?
He's got a lot of work to do. 214 HP. Only 2 shells left on the auto. He was saving that for the rest of the team, but that might just be enough to kill 2 tanks. If he had a 3rd shell, he might be able to do a 3rd, but I think he's just going to push him. He does get taken out by WoT. Absolutely fantastic play by the newcomers eSuba.
That was stunning from eSuba. Really, really enjoyed that one. The way they played that cap point, they didn't falter under the pressure. They stayed cool, calm, and collected. They executed at literally the last second then. And I've got to give credit to Voodoo's then. And I don't generally enjoy the T69, let's say, on Ensk. He played it very well there. Even though, as you mentioned, B&D read that play perfectly, I still think he played his role there. And to be fair, hitting 2.3k damage in a T69, that's not to be snivelled at.
No, certainly not. And it was really great because you could see how he had prepared, and he knows exactly where to shoot the tanks, because when he's engaging those IS-3s, if you hit the tracks with heat ammo, obviously now, since the changes, tracks now act as spaced armor. So he was hitting the top part of the IS-3, and he was penetrating every shot, and that's why he got the 2.3k. But you have to remember that he made it work this time. But so often we see the T69 falter in those situations.
True.
But if it does work, it works fantastically, and he just showed that and proved that point. But that was the greatest thing about that was Spale. They did the counterattack from eSuba's push up the green side. They counterattacked, but then eSuba countered them.
Yeah.
It was just magical, and they did it perfectly. They bided their time, and I honestly thought they were Spale were going to cap. They were literally 0.1 second away, and then the second shot from that T69. Like, if he just bounced another shot on the side of the T32, it would have been game over for eSuba, but he managed to hit it, and it was just amazing.
And the one thing that normally defines good teams and great teams for me is that reactive play, the instinctiveness towards how they can adapt to situations. And I think we saw it perfectly coming in then from eSuba. Those guys really showing they've got some talent here. And, you know, I've got to say it, looking back at when we saw Team WD coming into the league and a couple of others, they didn't display this level of talent. In the nicest way, you know, Team WD were a great addition. They held their own. But I don't think we expected that. So already a great start to the relegations here. What can we expect from the next couple of maps? Himmelsdorf next. eSuba clearly showing that they've got, you know, a talent for city maps. Do you reckon they'll be able to show it again? I
think they certainly have a chance. You know, Spale is one of those teams, if they don't turn up well on the day, then they just end up falling.
Yep.
And, you know, I kind of think with Spale that at this point, they're kind of old dogs and they kind of need to be put down a little bit. It sounds harsh.
That is harsh.
Sounds really harsh. I know it does, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think they need a bit of a revival.
Putting down dogs is not a bad thing. Wow.
I'm sorry, it may be a bad analogy, but I'm just saying they need to come back refreshed. They need to get themselves sorted and make sure they get the problems they have in the team under the belt, because they've been really struggling.
They have been.
And honestly, you know, the season coming up in Season 4, what have we got? WoT, who are just a fantastic team, coming second at WCG, beating so many teams out, and it's just amazing. And I think, you know, we got Freefall, another team that's done great. I mean, they do so well in both A-Series and Go4. And then, you know, we've just got some fantastic players coming in. And honestly, the teams that are struggling now in Season 3 and the relegations, they're just going to find themselves out straight away. They're sitting themselves at the bottom of the table, because these guys, these new guys, they're hungry for blood.
Yeah, that is a very good point, actually. And I love Spale. I love the way they play when it all works, but something's not clicking today. So let's dive into the tank picks for that second map. It's going to be Himmelsdorf. And we've seen the tier 1s coming out. Nothing too crazy there. But what do you think we're going to see? Because, you know, they went for that T69, which wasn't, you know, a bad choice. We clearly saw it paying off. But what do you think we might see coming into this? Any sort of strange picks, or are they going to keep it, you know, normal, keep it within Himmelsdorf and play it safely?
Well, I guess it's going to be the normal picks. I mean, the only tank which I guess would be a little bit strange to all of our eyes would be that Waffentrager, the tier 8 tank destroyer that's come in 8.9. But whether they're going to pick that is really up to them. Personally, I would. You know, a 9.6 second reload, a tier 10 gun, and 750 average damage. It's kind of OP in my opinion, but it's just so good. I love playing that tank. Double T1 from eSuba, double T1 from Spale, getting the 2 tier 1 picks out of the way. 5100 and IS3 from eSuba, double 5100 from Eurofish from Spale. So just the standard picks at the beginning. That Waffentrager is going to be the last pick, because then it's a little bit edgy.
If they go for it.
Exactly, yeah, and it's just a counter pick. So, yeah, I'm expecting at least one team to pick it. You know, we've seen Spale pick like 2 or 3 of them in some maps.
Yeah, that's a very good point, but do you think that was Spale being hap-handed, and now they've got a bit of a rude awakening, let's say, by some fresh talent, as you mentioned?
I think it might have been. I'm always a bit edgy, a bit like...
it's dubious towards this,
yeah. I'm always like, is Spale being serious or aren't they? Because sometimes when they're not serious, they just stomp teams. But double 5100 for Suba, double IS3 for Spale. As I said, just the normal picks at the beginning, double T1 for both teams, double 5100, double IS3 for Spale, triple 5100 IS3 for Suba. So they're going more of a, let's say, de novo kind of lineup. So even before they have most of their players, they still pick the triple 5100. If anyone remembers, in like I think it was 012 or 011 when they played the Red Rush, now known as Na'Vi, every single Go4, and got stomped. But that's one of the reasons why they are probably in the top 3 in the league for Himmelsdorf. They're so absolutely fantastic. Can't wait for Season 3 finals, which, if you weren't there last time at the last match day, will be in the 3rd week of January. Will be in Poland, so do join us for that if you are heading on to Twitch at any point. And also, more information will be on WoTProLeague.com as we wait for our final pick from eSuba, I do believe.
Yeah, they're probably just talking things through. Obviously, as you mentioned, this means everything to these guys. They want to be in this into the WoT Pro League, obviously not just for the prestige of it, but for the fact that there's a lot of money to be won. And if they can keep the performances up that they showed in that first map into the second and obviously into the third, why not? You know, they can really get themselves in for a good chance here. And I like the way they played. Reactive, a little bit different. I was a little bit, they're going from the green side, not sure. But they showed exactly why they did that, drawing Spale back into their trap. But I wonder if we're going to see it again. It's obviously Himmelsdorf doesn't really allow for that kind of play, but it'd be very interesting to see how they deal with this one.
Yeah, there will be an interesting match, that's to say the very least. IS3, last pick from eSuba. IS3, last pick from Spale, making eSuba's lineup a triple 5100, double IS3, double T1. And for Spale, they're going for the triple IS3, double 5100, double T1. So the only difference is that switcheroo between the 5100 extra for eSuba and the extra IS3 for Spale.
Well, we can...
yeah, IS3.
Yeah?
Yeah,
No,
100%
okay.
IS3.
You sure?
Yeah.
Certain?
Yeah. 100%.
You've been out of the game for a little while, you know, don't I?
Yeah.
Okay, you're back with us. But as we are waiting for these guys just to finalize those lineups and get their tanks selected and have that final team chat about how they want to go about this one, I can only imagine how many teams are watching this who are already in the WoT Pro League, because they get a chance to see possible new victims or possibly new victors. And learning about them early on is certainly something they'll be looking towards. And how many teams went, wow, we might need to be a little bit careful about eSuba, especially on Ensk. It might translate to Himmelsdorf if they can keep that sort of play up. And I'm really, really interested to see what they can bring here. Certainly shaking Spale to the core already into this one. But we know Spale, they can bounce back. But you don't want to let that kind of run too far away. But guys, let's get ready for the second map, Himmelsdorf.
Himmelsdorf is a city maps of city maps. It's a small one, being 600 by 600 meters. There are 3 routes of attack: the hill, the banana, and the train side. The middle area is relatively easy to push, however can end up in disaster as you can be flanked from every side. The road, often called banana, allows for direct head-on assaults but requires a lot of resources. Both the railroad area and the road next to it are good routes of attack, being very open and straight. However, for those very same reasons, you can be easily caught out and taken down. The map features many densely housed areas, which provides good places for engagements and routes of attack. Teams must be aware of the various routes their opponents can take through the map, as well as the hull-down positions enemies can take throughout the entire map. The trick with Himmelsdorf is to catch an enemy tank unsupported by his teammates and then use that advantage to collapse on the entire enemy team.
So welcome into that second map. As Joe kindly told us, it's going to be Himmelsdorf, and in the north, in the gold and yellow, it's eSuba, currently 1 map up to the good, facing off against Spale in the south in blue. Now, what sort of start are we seeing here from Spale?
From Spale, quite a normal start, I guess you could call it. They got T1 and Theory in that 5100 heading up the hill. They got Fantis in a T1 pushing forwards up the late line, a little bit aggressive. Sometimes we even see an IS3 up that 8 line pushing. So Muppety is going to be behind supporting him, and Agaha, Mokilumi, and Eurofish up the 1, 2, 3 line supporting that. And for eSuba, we've also got a standard start, more tanks just around that 1, 2, 3 line, and a tank in the middle of the T1. I would have expected at least 1 T1 to head up the hill just for information purposes, or even the 8 line to make sure that counter the kind of 8 line push we've been seeing a lot in Season 3. Vostok already receiving a pretty hefty shell from Mokilumi, down to 1117. There's a lot of ones in that. So yeah, first blood, a little bit of damage gone out for Spale, and I think that's the perfect start for them. They just wanted to be continuing that kind of ambitious play, that good shots. Really, they have some perfect snipers. They're not quite as dubious as Mousesports, let's say, in the sniping department.
Yeah, but let's bear in mind, First Blood also went to Spale in that previous map, so there's not too much to be read into this just yet, but I'm really interested to see if eSuba do what they did on Ensk, for example, going for that all-in kind of start here and then swinging across. But as you can see there on your screens right now, that Tier 1 and being followed up by a slightly bigger tank is making its way over that hillside because eSuba completely negated it. Now, I don't know if this is the part of their plan, but they have literally no tanks over towards that side. Just Marcus, as you can see on your screens in just a moment, holding the push pretty much, and that is pretty much it for them. Now, maybe expecting an aggressive Spale. I don't think that's beyond... that's not beyond asking. Spale do get very aggressive on this map on occasion. Maybe they're looking to catch them out here, going for those early exchanges. We'll have to see how this one really evolves.
Indeed, we will. You know, just explaining that push from the hill a little bit, just because you can kind of see the position. You see that IS3, and that's going to be Marcus 45. He's such a good heavy tank player. If you remember from Season 1, if anyone was around then, he is really fantastic. The position he is in is perfect to deal with Theory and B&D, who are sitting up on the hill, because Theory is not really going to be able to do any damage, and the only one who's going to be spotted is Los Koskos, and also Marcus in his IS3. So he can defend the cap. Those two can defend the cap, no problem at all. They can stop any push from Theory. He's not going to be able to penetrate the turret of the IS3 unless he gets very, very lucky and hits just the kind of bit here. You can see where it slopes, but it's a very hard shot at range, especially when it is sitting in a kind of hold-down, ruined house position. But it might also prompt a little bit of a push from Spale, where you can see Agaha rotating around back to this position. He is hull down there, so he's pretty safe. But this is Himmelsdorf, where, especially considering the stakes, you know, staying in or going into the WoT Pro League for Season 4, you don't want to be pushing too aggressively. You don't want to be throwing any games, and that's going to be weighing a hell of a lot on these two teams.
Yeah, and the mental strain alone must be absolutely huge for these guys because, as you mentioned, it's not just the fact that they don't get the chance to play against the best. They get out of the chance to win a hell of a lot of money. And they need that. These guys play for a living, pretty much, these people. And Mokyulumi, once again, letting a shell fly down towards WoT. He's managed to avoid that one, but he's playing the position well. They're playing very, very disciplined. They're not peeking out. They're not getting overly anxious. You are finally seeing a couple of shells coming in blind from that hill. Marcus now kept on his toes, not going to be overly extending, still playing calm and collected, and just waiting on any sort of push that may begin.
It doesn't look like Spale actually going to try and attempt a little bit of a push here. You can see Fantis pushing forwards in his T1. He's going to be trying to sneak around, find exactly what tanks are defending that that base. And they haven't actually spotted Marcus, so they have no idea who is spotting out the T1 who was on the hill, and obviously Theory who was spotting him. So Fantis hasn't quite spotted them just because he hasn't headed around the corner. You remember, there are positions, there are points on a tank which you need line of sight with the other tank to spot them. Well, two of them are on the front of the tank, one's on the turret. I do believe it might have changed since I last looked. But BND, he is on the rotate 100%. He's going to be heading around up the one line. He's going to be probably engaging the T1 who's going to be KKT. And that'll be an interesting fight because the T1s on Himmelsdorf are so important. Just unbelievably important. We've seen teams go out, we've seen team comes in, we've seen teams qualify for the finals on just T1. So you can't ever throw one away. You always got to have that extra dimension of pressure. You can win on capping, you can win on just the information they gather. And it kind of annoys me. And you know, when the Teamos obviously come out, and when teams don't pick the T1, I'm just like, you could win so many more games if you pick that tank. Fantis spotting out Marcus, and at the moment, not such an aggressive start from eSuba or Spale. Kind of surprising. I thought they would be a little bit more forward and just, you know, getting that initiative, which is so important to win in this game.
It certainly is, but it seems though eSuba's complete plan is this passive play. They are not extending. Marcus did just receive a shell. It's bound, so they've only managed to spot out Fantis there for Spale, that tier 1 who did make his way forward. That 5100 once again not being spotted out, that made its way over that hill. And Spale have pushed up some way, as you can see on the minimap, but they're not pushing in. They know there's literally a brick wall of eSuba waiting for them. Marcus just has to play fairly safe right now.
Yeah, and it looks like eSuba's actually deciding to push, and the perfect time, Spale actually just rotate and come off that 1-2-3 line. Aga and Mokyulumi just running away. I'm not sure if that's like foresight or just, you know, some time travel stuff. But it could also work out bad because they're actually having to head over the middle of this section, which means they could get some crossfire, but eSuba doesn't know that, so they are not going to push around. They're not going to get some side shots on. And maybe, definitely what Spale's thinking of is getting the T1s around, putting them there, and just starting to go for that cap, which is a viable, but maybe a little bit cheesy tactic on Himmelsdorf, but it does work quite a lot of the time, surprisingly. A bit like the 8 line, the shooting from up here onto the D line. With a hull down tank like a T69.
See, the problem is though, Twixo and Mirage will probably spot out those tanks that split across that middle. Voodoo and WoT have pushed up down that 2 line, as you mentioned, and they'll get an easy flank on them. They could easily come around the side. If they play this one smart, they play it safely, and they don't overextend here, they could really do well. But let's keep in mind, 3 minutes and 12 seconds left. Are Spale going to make their move? I do believe they are. They're going to head straight down towards that flag, and it's all going to be about the counterplay coming from eSuba here. Most of their eggs are put towards that kind of northwest side of the map, but there's that spot the Voodoo was waiting on. He's caught a glimpse of, I believe it's Agaher there, so he's done the initial damage, but they've got to expect that counter split. Where is the rest of Spale coming from? Marcus could be in severe trouble in just a second's time. He's playing it carefully. He's kind of got a bit of an inkling there might be something coming around that corner anytime now. You can see the pylons are falling, so he knows they're going to be here. They know that they're steps away. The cap is now underway. They've spread out Fantis, but will they expect that big firepower coming in just moments away? Marcus doesn't hand the shot towards Fantis, but Muppety and Eurofish are not going to miss. They need to get that back up in there, and quickly. Thierry takes a bit of a pounding down to 1-1-0-7, and now we're going to have to see if eSuba can once again pull off this fantastic counterplay, because their pressure is now being mounted. Marcus down to 3-8. 4-3-8 even, if I can get my words right, but the cap is still going on. Thierry, Fantis, Eurofish and Muppety all there. Twixo gets tracked and held in place. Mirage now pushing in. They're going head first into Spale. They're getting those resets as quickly as they can. They're not messing around. The split cannot come into place because the battle goes on with Voodoo and I believe one other down by that central reserve, and they're just hoping to get back into this battle anytime now. Marcus is low. They haven't got Thierry as low as they wanted. Now finally damage does happen. 208 HP left towards him. Mirage Barrage is tracked. Marcus does take down Eurofish. Oh, eSuba! Hat-trick of kills back to back. See you later, Eurofish, Thierry, and Fantis. But Muppety is still looking hungry. But Marcus is so damn low.
They have to try and retreat, make sure they save that HP, send the tanks that actually have HP to go forwards. And Agaha Mokilumi is still sitting pretty heavy. It's going to be Voodoo's versus Aga. Mokilumi does get a kill. Brilliant play from the Spale. Can they carry on?
They've got to somehow work their way back into this game. eSuba is so weak, and Mokilumi and Agaha are coming in from both sides now. Voodoo cannot escape this one. Down to 198. This could be all over for him. 74 HP. He needs one more shell. Stunning play. Takes out Agaha. And now just Mokilumi and Muppety stand in this. But look at Mokilumi's HP. He's a beast right now. And all of eSuba are so weak. With 1 minute left, Muppety is looking like an easy kill. Twixo picks that one up. But Mokilumi, can you do it for your side? Can you find so many more players? Twixo battling out with everything he has right now. 209 HP. He can still do this. Oh, Twixo coming up big for his side. Exactly when it mattered. And eSuba have shown exactly why they are in the runnings to getting into Season 4. And that was sensational play.
Oh, that was wonderful. That was... Ooh. I realized why I missed casting this game and watching it. It's just brilliant. When everything just goes, it just goes mental.
Wow.
And we can talk a bit about the damage that was done before we head into the tactics. We got another brilliant performance with Twixo 2.2k in that 5100. We were talking a little bit earlier how strong that tank has been throughout Season 3.
Seen it again.
Yep. And then we got Marcus, the IS3 player, was mentioned a little bit earlier. He's got 1,957 damage under his belt in that game. So just a brilliant bit of play from eSuba. I thought Spale were going to come back with that push along onto Voodoo's. But the thing was, like, it was so close because basically it came down to the lineups they picked. Obviously, Spale took the 3 IS3s and eSuba took the 3 5100s. All Spale needed was another 10, maybe 10, 15 seconds extra in that battle, and then they would have won it. But because those 5100s came off reload when they did, for instance, Twixo, they could take down the IS3 within its 11 and a half seconds reload. So that was literally down to what tanks they pick. If Spale just held on for a little bit longer, weren't so aggressive, then they would have been able to win that one. But damn, it was close. And I think that split push from eSuba, and then just the ability to micromanage, not only the push into the cap, the defending in the cap, but also that push around and making sure that those 2 IS3s of Spale were just kind of kept away and cornered off into the side of the map.
That was something I'm going to go back and watch time and time again because I'm excited to see a team like this coming in possibly to, you know, Season 4, which is not too far away. And let's bear in mind, they still need to pick up another map. They've got, you know, Spale can come back into this one. It's 2-0 currently in favor to eSuba, but it's not game over. And next up, it's going to be Prokhorovka. Spale have their talents on this map. They have their bonuses. They can play it very well. They've been, you know, quite ingenious sometimes with how they play, but at the moment, they're being made to look like amateurs by eSuba, a brand new team who could be joining us. They're
just being crushed, to be honest. 2-0 up at this point. Obviously, all you need to do is win 3 maps is best of 5. We will be playing all 5 maps because of scheduling and things like that. So all you need to do is win 1 more map eSuba, and you'll see yourself in Season 4 of the WGL EU. And I'm kind of on tenterhooks at the moment because on one side, I love eSuba to go in because they've shown such talent and ability right now. They will just be a fantastic addition. But also Spale, like, leaving us, it doesn't...
How insane is that?
It doesn't seem right.
Like,
Spale leaving the Pro League, it just makes me cry a little bit.
Well, we might be finding out now because the next map will be Prokhorovka. Now let's think... If eSuba pick this one up, it's going to be a 3-0 victory, basically. But still, the tank picks are beginning. Let's head over towards that one and have a little look to see what we're going to be getting from this. And it really is, you know, it's half fantastic seeing a team like eSuba doing well. But as you mentioned, a season without Spale, it'd be... there won't be as much uli going forward, but still, take us through what we're seeing so far.
So double T1 from both eSuba and Eurofish, just getting those 2 Tier 1 picks out the way at the beginning. That means that both teams are going to be picking just Tier 8 tanks, which is what we'd expect. We don't see artillery or obviously the T50-2 since it's not even in the game anymore. Double AMX 3090 first big picks coming out from Spale. We're expecting T69, probably 2, maybe 3 of them, probably just 2. And something like a Pershing or an Object 416, that Russian tank that's joined us very recently. MX 1390 and Pershing is indeed going to be picked from Spale. It's going to be followed by a double MX 1390 from eSuba. Just that Tier 8 American medium tank is quite favoured at this point. It's a good little tank there. Does a fantastic little bit of damage. Double AMX 1390 from the side of Super. So far 4 AMX 1390s. Quite an interesting lineup and looking very fast. Agility is going to be in favour for them. But also, if they can't hit the shells, which is the main problem with the MX 1390, you know, its aim down time and accuracy are not the best, that's to say the very least, and gun depression is pretty awful, then they're going to be really struggling against tanks like the Pershing, and we have to see if that one works out for them. 244 penetration on the F3 gun from the MX 1390 might bounce quite a few shells on the mantlet of the Pershing. So now just waiting for Spale to pick. I'm wondering which tank. Do you reckon a 416?
I don't think it's beyond them. I don't think it's a viable choice. It's whether or not they feel comfortable now. And I think maybe sitting at 0-2, they need to go back to their comfort picks here.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I mean, you know, it's a tall order for them to win the next 3 maps, but it's certainly possible. We've seen it before. But the last pick from Spale is going to be a T69, making their lineup a double T1, double AMX 13, triple AMX 1390 Pershing T69. Just waiting on the last pick for an eSuba now. 2-0 up against Spale, which is not really any kind of thing I would say, no. To be honest. You know, this is a team which I thought would pick themselves up in Season 3 because they've been building. You know, in Season 1, Spale were looking really strong, but they had some of their, you know, just kind of
issues,
gel
yeah.
issues, you know. And then Season 2, they got a little bit better. Then Season 3, I thought that would be that breakthrough season where they just kind of got every variable sorted and they would just stomp every other team just on pure ability. But, you know, roster changes like Dovahkiin, who was their star player, leaving the team, it might have affected that a little bit. Last pick for an eSuba. It's going to be an Object 416, so
nice.
Have to see if that M63 gun really does its work against just the T69.
Well, can you believe it, ladies and gentlemen? If you are watching this right now, which there's a good few of you out there, I've been keeping my eyes on Twitch chat. I see Rukil just kind of lurking around in there, just, you know, trying to learn some stuff from dear old Ollie. I'm just going to try and stir it up. But no, obviously there's a hell of a lot of you watching this, and I think it's as much of a surprise to us as it is to you to see a team like eSuba just coming into this and making Spale look a shambles. It's so rare. We know Spale have their ups and downs. They can really struggle. They haven't always been the most together team, but they're certainly talented. They have a huge fan base. They're a great bunch of guys, and they can play so well. As you mentioned, Season 2 to Season 3, you thought that transition was going to be the one for them to step up to, and now we are just seeing them fight for their place within this, and this is going to be their last stand, or it could be. This could be defining for Spale. This could be them, you know, dropping out of the WoT Pro League, which is massive to them. You know, no offline finals. You know, maybe they can try their hand in the next season, but that's not exactly close. It's back to A-Series. It's back to Go 4s. And as great as they are, the prestige of being into the very best of the best league, losing out on that might suddenly be hitting home. And I can only hope it does, because I'd hate to see these guys going out 0-3. You know, that's not what Spale are about. And hopefully we'll see something that can really show us why they were in this league in the first place, because they are so talented and they are so damn good at this. And it is a shame to see them in this position, but they are being flat out outplayed. You know, skill 1-to-1, tactically, you know, even just the cohesion between teammates and tanks is just being shadowed by the likes of eSuba. So guys, let's find out if Spale can keep their place within the WoT Pro League.
Prokhorovka, a large map at 1,000 by 1,000 meters which allows teams to stretch their legs and artillery to test their skills. There are 3 primary routes of attack: over the left tree road, the middle area, and towards the town. The tree road is very open and flat, but has a very large number of bushes and trees that provide good cover if you're not shooting. The middle area is where the initial engagements happen as teams gather as much information as they possibly can. Both teams are fairly symmetrical and only offer small hills and brushes as cover. The middle area is where the initial engagements happen as teams gather as much information as they possibly can. The railroad that splits the map has a large number of bushes running alongside it that provides good cover and the occasional route of attack in the village and hill area. Teams should look towards taking fast tanks and artillery as they complement each other on this expansive map.
So welcome to the third and possibly defining map which will be Prokhorovka. And in the north, in the blue, it's going to be Spale. And in the south, in the gold and yellow, it's going to be eSuba. And what are they up to so far?
So a standard start from Spale as they head up into the middle 3090s and their M26 Pershing, Theory to the right in the T69 and Muppety in the T1 and Fantis in the other T1 heading up to their respective sides. And for eSuba, kind of an Odin Mortis-esque start. They're heading over to that 1-2-3 line with most of their tanks trying to get themselves into a sniping position, counter what is the standard strategy for most teams on Pershing from the north. The south of Prokhorovka is actually really heavily favored. A lot of teams are winning compared to the north. You can check that on the WoT Pro League, the statistics for all the maps and all the tanks. So that's always interesting if you want to have a quick look. But you know, this is the defining map. You know, in the ups and downs, you know, Spale are on their way down, and it's just kind of it's going to be so crucial how they play. Theory's already taken one shot. He's down to 1-1-2-4. And that's not a great start for them. They've always been the ones to get the first shots out, and they certainly haven't this time.
Yeah, indeed, and it does worry me, this, just a touch. And we did see Mirage there kind of going forward in that 1390, just testing the waters, trying to find out where people are. And, well, they don't have a solid idea, but they've got a good idea, I guess, of where eSuba are waiting. But how can they get around that? How can they do anything here? Can they find a way through? I'm kind of curious. Thierry has spread out Mirage there, so you can see the counter kind of coming in straight away. The sniping coming out from eSuba is absolutely stunning. From that hill, that 416 being used perfectly with Marcus and WoT, each and every one of them doing the damage. That tier 1 has now fallen. That's Fantis out of the picture. And that's a vital kind of set of eyes removed already from Spale.
It's another T1 gone, and well, both teams have lost a T1, so two important tanks just gone and unable to provide any information or capping pressure. But what I loved about that engagement onto Theory was the fact that eSuba actually bided their time. They didn't get, make the shots as soon as he was visible. They waited until he was far enough over, so they make sure that they hit those shots. And that's why Theory is down to about, let's say, 40%, 35% HP on 520 out of 1,350 in that T69. So not a great start for Spale, and taking so much damage is going to be extremely harmful when it comes down to that big engagement, and also put the pressure onto Spale. They're going to have to be the ones to really fight for their lives, fight for their space in the Season 4, otherwise they will be heading out.
And you know what I really like about eSuba? They're not just happy sticking in that very, one position. They'll happily adapt across. So already Voodoo, Marcus, WoT, and Loskos have moved away from the hill where they were previously. They're making their way to a different position, maybe expecting that counter push across the railroad, which wouldn't be, a big stretch of the imagination. Quite a possibility, and I'm wondering where they're going to take it from here.
And they're just going to push off and try a different angle, come up from the side, surprise Spale a little bit. But BND, seeing on that Pershing is T15 E2M gun, is going to be an absolute crucial sniper if he can actually hit the shots. He's going to try and hit Mirage. We've seen, Spale hit plenty harder shots, especially in the T69 from Madovikin in Season 2. He just managed to hit every single one. But it also gives the game away a little bit for eSuba. Like, they've been spotted, and Spale knows exactly what they're up to. You can see how quickly they are reacting to that situation. Mokilumi, Eurofish, all moving. BND getting himself into a better position behind, and Aga already sitting up there in his AMX 1390, ready to try and deal some damage onto the approaching eSuba. But right now, even though Theory has taken a bit of damage, Spale certainly have the better positions.
They do, and now this is going to be a harder task for eSuba. If they want to claim this in a 0-3, they're going to have to work like dogs for it. Mirage, Loskos, and WoT all pushing up down that 6 and 7 line. They've spotted out Agherd, they've spotted Eurofish, they've come to a halt, and it's going to go blow for blow here. This is going to be unbelievable. And Loskos has found Eurofish. That's a real kind of blow to the Spale side. They're losing out already, and the shells are just landing for eSuba. Can you believe this could be over for Spale if they don't turn this one around?
Agherd's down to 779 in his MX 1390. He's trying to land a few shells onto Voodoos, but it's one tier 8 tank down for the worst for Spale. They've already lost Eurofish, the team captain, playing too aggressively, going forwards too far. He took a gamble, it just certainly did not work at all, and that could be Spale's last ticket. They could be out of the season. They could not be joining us again for Season 4, and the MX 1390, it provides firepower, it provides HP, it provides speed, and Spale have just lost one of the most important factors. But then Eurofish can also, concentrate more on his game plan. He can concentrate on instructing his team what to do, and give him that real just motivation and morale to push forwards and get themselves back into a position where they could potentially fight for a win.
And you know what? I love how fluid eSuba are. They're happy to, you know, try something out, test the waters, adapt and rotate, and they're doing it again. First of all, down the one line, they did the sniping. They did well. They got the initial damage. They adapted. They went, you know, across. They went on the rotate down to the 6 and 7. They took down another tank. They took down Eurofish. A big, big win for them. But where can they go from here? You can see Marcus in that sniping position over, looking towards that village. No real sight there. Nothing to be found. But look at this. Mirage, Vostep, and I believe Voodoo. Actually, Voodoo's joining him in that sniping position, leaving the 3 1390s to be that kind of firing squad down that 5 and 6 line. They could be finding some trouble soon. They have left the other side of the railroad fairly unchecked, but they've just put out Mokialumi. Can they hold on to this? Can that little bit of an overview from Marcus and I believe it was Voodoo kind of cover them off here?
They certainly can. I mean, it's just about that cover and making sure that they have all the angles of attack kind of separated and covered down. So BND killing Twixo, Mappetit getting taken out by Twixo. So it's kind of the T1's now gone, so not really any potential of capping. So it's all going to be about that, down to that firefight, which is a bad thing for Spale because they've already lost an AMX 3090, a tier 8 tank. So it's just bad. We can see the kind of shells left onto eSuba. We got Vostep full, all 6 shells. Marcus 5 shells, and Lost Koskos, he's got 3 shells left. So they got plenty of damage in the barrels, and they are going to be pushing on. I think BND and Theory, they're going to be in a little bit of trouble. This is their fluid movement of eSuba, just coming around, finding a weakness, knowing exactly where Spale are. They have that real just ability to know exactly where every tank is and then find a weakness and push on. That's exactly what they're doing.
Well, we're going to find out if they can make it stick because Thierry's going low. This could be the final blow to eSuba. No, actually, excuse me, it's Spale. They kind of actually made this one work. eSuba pushed over the railroad. They challenged them down. They've retained numbers, and now just BND, Agaha, and Mokialumi stand with everything on their shoulders to try and keep their team in the WoT Pro League. This could be over so soon. Mokialumi and Agaha are going aggressive. Vostep's holding his ground. He's going to be challenging them out. He's got backup, but will it be quick enough to the mark? He's taken Mokialumi low, but they've taken him down. Finally, a little bit of return fire. But can eSuba keep doing the damage they're doing? BND, Agaha, and Mokialumi somehow staying alive, but that damage coming in from Voodoo, knocking BND down fairly low to 793. Keeping them in this game.
Aga has got to be a little bit careful because he is peaking, and he did get punished immediately down to 4-6-1. But Spale have certainly come back into this game, still 3 versus 4. But Voodoo's down to 4-8-7 and Mirage down to 4-3-5. So they are potential 2 shots, and Mirage is actually reloading. This is where that ultra heavy AMX 3090 lineup could actually be a bad thing for eSuba. It's worked perfectly so far because they've been able to reposition very quickly and find weaknesses in Spale. You know, that real spatial awareness coming into play. And Ago has really got to fight for his place right now because he's got the best tank for its position. He can get the sniping shots out. He can really do the damage. But eSuba now tier 8 tank, tier 8 points in the lead. They're 8 points in the lead indeed. So they can win if they just let this counter to tick down to 0. We are on 1 minute and 25 seconds left until a win for eSuba. Only thing I can really think for Spale to do right now is try and go for that cap.
And I think you're reading them quite well at the moment because they are seeming to split down towards it at least. But can they stay alive in there? As we know, this is pretty much an open field. It's literally welcoming people to try and snipe you down. And with 1 minute and 7 seconds left, do they have the time to really pull this one out? It will come down to a brawl pretty much. And they know that as well. 1 minute now left. Their options are limited.
There certainly are. I mean, they are looking towards that cap. And it might actually work because, yeah, okay, this tank here can actually snipe into the cap, but there are no tanks sitting around to spot them out. So they could be a bit late to the party, but I still think an AMX 3090 could possibly get back in time if it just starts arriving as pretty much now. 25 seconds left on the cap. We've got 3 tanks there. So 10 seconds kind of buffer time between resetting, which will be perfect for eSuba if they do land that one shot. 53, and they are just about getting there, but it's going to be close.
This is going to be unbelievably close. 9 seconds stand in between Spale and leaving this league. eSuba are not going down without a fight. They are going to be peering over. They've got 2 seconds to land the shot. Oh, they've done it. And eSuba, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen, have absolutely decimated Spale here, and they're doing it in some fashion. Just Agatha standing, and can you believe it? eSuba, in 3 maps, have secured their position into the next season, and I am absolutely blown away by their play. But Spale, we kind of miss you.
Oh, I feel sad.
I know.
Suddenly I feel sad with the realization that Spale will not be joining us for the Season 4 of the WGL EU, the Wargaming.net League Europe. And
wow.
I don't know what's going on, but
it's made us sad. Deep down, it's like, oh.
It's made us very sad. I'm a bit of a Spale fanboy, and I know certainly Steven, our product manager, is a massive Spale fanboy. He obviously comes into the office quite a lot with his Spale top on. But to be honest, eSuba 100% deserved that win. I mean, just completely outplayed Spale. They showed them that the status quo is not where the game is at the moment. That their kind of dynamic play, their ability to, you know, be very spatial aware of the way the maps are working and just find weaknesses in the other team. Also very good tank picks, both on Himmelsdorf and now on Prokhorovka, really making the tanks they use work for the tactics they have.
And I do want to point out, even though eSuba did win that, Voodoo just said, too bad we met in relegations. You guys were my favorite team. And it's really nice atmosphere all around. They said, well played, and obviously good luck into the next season. But eSuba look extremely strong. They look like a contender for that top 6. I don't think, you know, I think a lot of teams will be watching this and they'll be watching it back and going, okay, we need to watch out for these guys. They're not going to be a walk in the park. They certainly have deserved that victory there. And I am absolutely blown away by these guys.
I'm really astounded. I mean, a team that came 9th in Season 1 and got relegated, coming back and beating the 9th place finishers, Spale, a team that's been around for so long. And, you know, the one question on my mind, and I think on everyone's mind, is can they continue this just ability to play well? You know, we've seen a lot of teams come into this, into the Pro League, you know, just with real skill and talent and just not being able to translate that to consistent results. That's what eSuba needs to be working on from now until Season 4 start. And then indeed in the season, they need to be making sure that then having that kind of play and that ability on every single match day, on every single time they play, and every single training they have. Because if they do, I don't see where they can't be easily top 6.
Yeah, most certainly. But I do want to point out, I think Spale are not exactly up for playing the rest of the maps. I can kind of understand it myself. After you've just been spanked 0-3, it's not the best feeling in the world. So we might have to go to a slightly longer break in a moment. But we'll be heading over to Melly before that. But I do want to say a big thank you and a bit of a commiseration for Spale there, because you guys have been a firm position. You know, we do love you guys. All right, we really do. I've been a fan favorite of those guys all through the season. I shouldn't say it. I shouldn't be biased, but you know, they do bring a little bit of personality, let's say, to the league. So it's a real shame to see them leaving us, but we have certainly seen a fantastic team joining us in the form of eSuba. And let's bear in mind, the day is certainly not over. We have another game on the way, not too far away either, which will be between, do tell us who?
Lucky Karaki and Team WD. So Team WD, they didn't do so well this season, coming 10th. And Lucky Karaki, they were 11th, got automatically relegated in Season 1. So both teams, again, they've been in the Pro League, in the Wargaming.net League. So they both know the format, they both know how to play. But, you know, I'm going to talk a little bit about their roster changes, at least for Lucky Karaki. So that could change things up a little bit. And maybe they've changed their play style, because the problem with Lucky Karaki was they're a little bit too passive, but more to come in a minute.
Yeah, so let's, Melly, are you okay over there? She's shaking her fists at the laptop, and I daren't, you know, even try and hassle her in situations like she's a Spale fan as well, so she's probably feeling a little bit sad about that one, and hopefully she's okay. But let's head over to Melly to give a little idea of how many of you people actually thought eSuba were going to do that one. If those polls are updated, maybe that's what she was shaking her fist at. We'll find out. Melly, did anyone predict that outcome?
Hell no. Oh my word. I don't know if you've heard me in the background, but that was just insane. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my browser to work, but I already got the results of the vote, which were 62% in Spale's favor. So the community would have never expected eSuba having such an easy walk. It was, no, that's the wrong termination of that, because the matches weren't easy, but it was clear in the end. Because
it certainly was.
You know, you get what I'm trying to say? So we have a lot of close endings predicted here in the in the comment section going either side, but no, well, no 3-0. No. Oh, there is one. No, for the wrong team. I'm sorry.
No one predicted it.
No.
Oh.
Let me say it a couple more times. No.
No.
Nobody would have predicted that.
No, I tend to agree. It's a little bit of a hard one to call there. I don't think anyone wanted to call that. No one wants to be like, yeah, you guys are leaving. You know what I mean? No one wants to be like that guy to say it, but I think after that first game, I'm surprised a couple of you didn't head on over to Facebook and get your votes in because they looked extraordinarily strong. But as we've seen one team now join us into the next season, which will be Season 4 here in the WoT Pro League. And I wonder if there's going to be any more coming through here. We'll try and get some updates in the other game going on at the same time currently. And we'll come back from the break and we'll be joined by another brilliant matchup. It'll be Team WoT against Lucky Karaki. You are probably very familiar with both of these sides now. Me with Team WoT a little bit more, obviously, watching them through the season. But, guys, do stay tuned. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back in a short little while once we get our next game underway.